welcome to Cinema Wellman. I am your host, David, and another month is behind us. We survived the Ides, spring has sprung, the madness is just about over, and it's once again time to recap the best and worst films we screened here in the month of March. I think it's very fitting that March was Women's History Month, since many of our best films this month were made by women or feature female protagonists or both. And our worst film was made by men and has the word men in the title. As Lisa always used to say, I'm just saying. Other than that man bomb, there were two other atrocious movies that I will save for later because they were actually screened for an upcoming episode. That means there's only one film on the worst list this month, but do not worry. There's enough worst in this movie for 10 movies, maybe more. Let's go back to 1979 or 1985. 1997. Would you believe 2005? From 2005, it's Dangerous Men. Given a very charitable 4.2 on IMDb for some reason, this should be in the twos. The reason I mentioned all of those dates is because production on this film actually began in 1979. The film got shelved, and then it picked up again in the mid-'80s. There's another break until the late 90s, and then it was finally completed and released in 2005, and I'm not sure why. This movie was widely rumored to have grossed only $70 in its theatrical run, which will give you an idea of how truly ghastly it is. In reality, it grossed $2,238. That is fantastic. If you think sound and lighting aren't important in movies, just watch Dangerous Men. It appears to be lit by people who don't even understand the concept of light itself. The sound echoes and the sound levels are all over the place. The acting is on par with what you'd see in an adult film, or so I'm told. The story is incoherent. The climax involves two characters. We don't meet one of these characters until there's 30 minutes left in the film, and the other person that they have this climactic scene with, we don't know them until 18 minutes are left in the movie. I love the poster, which includes the following quotes by, I'm guessing, critics. Quote, mind-boggling WTF-ery, end quote. And, quote, the holy grail of holy fucking shit. I believe that was Pauline Kael and Vincent Canby. One story from this production that I absolutely love is about a car it's shown going over a cliff, being totally demolished, and it blows up real good. Turns out the car belonged to the director's 16-year-old daughter. She had been prohibited from dating a boy by Dad. She dated the boy anyway. Dad took the car away from her and said, "You will never see it again." Now, do you remember how many years this mess took to make it to the big screen? Well, the director's daughter had no idea what happened to her car until she saw this film in 2005. Please see this if you get the chance. It could quite possibly be the worst movie you have ever seen. And it's fun. And now to the good side of the ledger. We're cheating here. And I want to quickly mention this film while admitting that I am cheating. It's Drive Away Dolls from 2024, directed by Ethan Coen. Now, I saw Drive Away Dolls at the end of February, not in March, but February's episode was already done, and so I never got a chance to mention it. So I'm going to quickly do that. Written and directed by Ethan Coen, no Joel this time. This is an extremely enjoyable road trip movie that is so bizarre at times. it can only be a Coen movie. Pedro Pascal, Miley Cyrus, and Matt Damon have possibly the smallest and strangest roles of their careers. I may be giving this more credit than it deserves, but the Coens have been friends of Cinema Wellman for decades now. They can do no wrong. Well, The Lady Killers was wrong, as was Intolerable Cruelty. Burn After Reading? Well, most of them are wonderful, and you can't win them all. Next, from 2024, directed by Samantha Jane, Mean Girls. This Mean Girls is based on the Mean Girls musical and not the original Mean Girls film from 2004. I have not seen the musical, but I did rescreen the 2004 original before going to see this. Written by Tina Fey, and as I mentioned, directed by Samantha Jane, Mean Girls features a phenomenal cast, especially in the support characters, the ensemble. I've seen a lot of musicals because both Hannah and Dakota were part of the drama program. So I sat through, I shouldn't say sat through, that sounds like I tolerated them. I enjoyed them, most of them. And there's the ensemble cast, and I got to recognize in Mean Girls, hey, this is just like seeing one of those shows. It was really great. The characters were tweaked a little bit, but still remained loyal to the source material. It was a lot of fun. Glenn Coco. The musical numbers were tremendous, and Renee Rapp as Regina George was the highlight of this film for me. So she played Regina on stage, and I'm sure she crushed it. Tina Fey was happy to hear that the Suits at Paramount wanted Rapp for this movie instead of a known actress, and I think that gamble totally paid off. Rapp's introductory song in this movie makes Regina George look like a Bond villain. It's just wonderful. And just as in real life, plastics last forever. Next, from 2023, directed by Mark Turteltaub, Jules. Have you ever seen Sexy Beast? If you have, Ben Kingsley probably scared the shite out of you. He is absolutely terrifying in that movie, and his performance earned him a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination. Ben Kingsley's Milton in Jules couldn't be further from his role as gangster Don Logan in Sexy Beast. IMDb tells us Milton lives a quiet life of routine in a small western Pennsylvania town, but finds his day upended when a UFO and its extraterrestrial passenger crash land in his backyard. Milton's neighbors include Jane Curtin, you know her, and Harriet Sansom Harris. You know her as well. You just don't know you know her. And Jules, the alien, is wonderful. The filmmakers describe Jules as genderless, angelic, and friendly, which is a perfect description. The actress playing Jules, Jade Kwan, known mostly for stunt work, does an excellent job portraying emotion without uttering a single word, buried under quite a bit of makeup. Kwan had to sit for 4 hours each day for the application, and none of the prosthetics were reusable. So they for budget reasons, they wanted only set her up 12 times. They ended up doing it 30 times. I really enjoyed this film. Even though Milton is older than I am, this film made me think about my own mortality and the relationship I have with my daughters. It's sweet, it's funny, it's heartwarming. I saw it on a whim, and it totally surprised me. And that's why movies are great. It's another reason. Next, from 2023, directed by Emma Seligman, Bottoms. IMDb to start off with. 2 unpopular queer high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation. I have always thought that comedies were the most difficult genre to recommend to people. Humor is so personal, and what makes one person laugh hysterically may have another person just shaking their head or being offended in some way. I am extremely careful when recommending comedies, and I always make sure to add that I found it funny or it made me laugh. I don't know what makes you laugh. You may laugh at kids falling off bikes. I don't know. That being said, Bottoms is a rare breed of comedy for me. It's a raunchy comedy that was actually funny, and it made me laugh a lot. And I think the main reason is it was written by a woman, Emma Seligman and Rachel Sennett, and directed by a woman, Emma Seligman. I've seen all the raunch male writers can muster over the years, and it is all tired. Sennett and Io Edebiri, and I'm trying so hard to pronounce that correct. Io Edebiri. I practiced that and I still got it wrong. I'm sorry. Are the leaders of the Fight Club, and their chemistry is undeniable. I then found out that Sennett and damn it. I have the note right here. I'm so sorry. Edebri. That's what it is. Edebri. Io Edebri. And if I knew how to edit this show, you wouldn't have heard any of that. My apologies. They were roommates at NYU, and director Seligman also attended NYU and was a close friend of theirs. This familiarity adds a genuineness to the film, even though many of the scenes are way too crazy for reality. Ever see a movie and wonder if it's okay to laugh at the jokes? As in, am I allowed to laugh at that? That's funny, but am I allowed to laugh at that? This is one of those movies. And I was told by a reliable source that, yes, I was allowed to laugh at all of those jokes. And I'm so happy that I was allowed. And whoever's idea it was to have all the football players dressed in full uniform every time they're shown, no matter where they are, is absolutely brilliant. In high school, I always thought the football players looked like idiots wearing their jerseys the Friday before the game. Not that I told them, of course. C. Bottoms, Seligman, and Sennett also teamed up for Shiva Baby, which will be screened this month, and I will keep you posted. Next up is a big shift in gears. We're going to go back to 1915. It's Filibus, directed by Mario Roncaroni. Now I can pronounce that one. We pivot from a raunchy female-driven comedy to a silent Italian film from 1915 that Canopy described as, quote, the most exciting, witty, feminist, steampunk, cross-dressing aviatrix thriller you will ever see, end quote. No notes on that one. I can't argue with any of that. Filibus was amazing, and I had to keep reminding myself that it was made in 1915. Grandma Lou was 3 years old. Among the progressive elements found in this delightful cat and mouse thriller, female protagonist Filibus outwits / taunts a male detective. She frames this male detective for a variety of crimes and embarrasses him publicly repeatedly. Filibus dresses as a man and seduces women. Filibus, as a woman, seduces men. Filibus is a sky pirate, and she leads an all-male crew who follow her every command. This was a lot of fun, and the only reason I watched it was based on the poster on Canopy. Go figure. And that leaves us with one film left on the list, so that must be our favorite. Great month, lots of favorites, but this one stood out for a variety of reasons. Directed by Rose Glass from 2024, it's Love Lies Bleeding. Another female writer-director, more female protagonists who are not to be trifled with, and a story so compelling you won't be able to take your eyes off the screen. This is only Rose Glass's second feature film, but the final product on the screen makes it seem like it was made by a wily veteran. Love Lies Bleeding is gritty and nasty and grim. It's a modern-day film noir IMDb describes as follows. Gym manager Lou falls for Jackie, a bodybuilder who's passing through town en route to a competition in Las Vegas. Lou is played by friend of Cinema Wellman, Kristen Stewart, who continues to impress with every new role. The bodybuilder is played by Katie O'Brien. I was not familiar with her work, but she does a great job as Jackie. And Jackie's, I think, a multi-layered character who keeps you guessing throughout the film about what she's really and truly like and what is motivating her, if anything. And then there's Ed Harris. Good God, there's Ed Harris. He is frightening. I was thinking about this film for days afterward, which is always the sign of a movie that has made an impact on you. Well, that's a wrap for our best and worst of the month of March. And it was the best and worst of also of pronunciations. And again, more apologies for that. And it was a month dominated by women. Always good to see. We hope you join us again next week when we take a look at airplane movies. Until then, please extinguish all smoking materials and return your tray tables to their upright positions, and take care.